Hey everybody, this is Dust for Dusted on Gaming. Just a friendly reminder, if you like what we're seeing on the channel, please consider subscribing. And if you like this video in particular, please give us a thumbs up to help us continue growing. Alright, let's get into what's going on here. So, doing a replay of a league that was done right after the 5-0 league. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. It's this one right here. So, those of you that can see the details already know how the league went, but I'm going to get into some matches because we had some interesting matchups in this particular league. There's some unique decks we've played that we don't see a lot of. Alright, obviously a pretty good hand, a couple Goblin Guides, some bolts, so pretty good hand. Opponent's mulliganing pretty aggressively, which could mean like Tron. Going with our Goblin Guide here. Opponent shows us a Pyromancer, which actually means it's probably Mardu Pyromancer then. Go ahead and get our Goblin Guides in here. Opponent gets a land into their Pyromancer. Opponent shocks in to play Pyromancer. We kill Pyromancer. Get in for a bunch of damage here. Shock in. Go ahead and do that, play Eidolon, and that's pretty much the game. So, burn pretty much always capitalizes on opponent stumbling. So, yeah, not surprising that we won that game. Against Pyromancer, we'll take a look at sideboarding before we get into the games. So we try to board out as many white cards as we can. In this particular case, I boarded out the copies of Boros Charm, brought in the 2 Grim Lava brought in the 2 Exquisitive Firecraft and the 2 Searing Blood. Potentially could have boarded out some of the other spells for some Lavamancers, but our opponent does have a lot of removal, so. Alright, moving on to that. Hand's obviously pretty good. Want to get the white card out of it as soon as possible. Usually want to suspend the Rift Bolt here. Opponent Faithless Loots. Discard some Spirits. Opponent just goes and plays. We do that. They're obviously holding up removal here. Opponent plays Liliana, the Last Hope, which is kind of whatever. Go ahead and fetch Shock. Get this Lightning Helix out of our hand. We just have a lot of bolts in our hand. Just pretty much need them to play a creature. They play a Bedlam Reveler, which is annoying, but it's whatever. Go ahead and bolt them. I guess Skull Crack them here. Nope, we do nothing. Holding up in case we have Kemball, I guess. Skull Crack, bolt, and bolt. Easy GG. Turn 4 kill with no real repercussions. Match number 2. This one's a bit of a grind. This ends up being a slightly weird version of blue-white. This first game lasts a really long time. So our hand, obviously not great here with 1 land, but we do end up keeping... actually, no, I guess I'm mulliganing that one. Interesting. This hand, we scry second land to the top. Halimar Depths, I was initially thinking this was like mill or something. Ends up just being like a weird version of blue-white control. Obviously these Searing Blazes aren't great against blue-white control. Good Boros Charm, they catch us with a Spell Snare there. Goblin Guide going. Plays out a Blessed Alliance, so we really get hammered here. Opponent's sitting at 20 after turn 4. Plays Opt. Pass our dude, we get another land here. I guess a very unique take with Halimar Depths setting up Miracles. Start aggressively attacking our opponent. They go ahead and try to Blessed Alliance here. Fortunately, we have the Skull Crack. But opponent has a Gideon. Use a Searing Blaze, clear that out of the way, start plucking into the Gideon here. Spend a Rift Bolt. Opponent goes ahead and uses Cryptic Command. Use a Helix to get that Gideon off the table. Opponent goes after our White Source. Plays Treat the Angels for 1. Go ahead and attack in here. Our opponent goes to block. We Searing Blaze, kill the Angel. And then we draw a bunch of lands. Opponent plays a bunch of lands. We have a Lava Spike here. Opponent pops. We start to get burn spells. Opponent plays yet another Gideon. Go ahead and Boros Charm it. They remand it. Boros Charm again. And just kill our opponent. So, like I said, our opponent had a unique build of blue-white, but ultimately pretty manageable. Their only source of pressure was really Gideon that we saw in the Entreat the Angels. So it looked like they were some kind of Miracles build. So sideboarding, boarded out the Searing Blazes, boarded in 2 Grim Lavamancers and 2 Firecrafts because they tend to be a little bit light on removal as out of blue-white compared to something like Jeskai. So creatures can be a little more effective. Sand obviously isn't the greatest. We have Rift Bolt on 1, Eidolon on 2 here. Plays a land. We just suspend a Rift Bolt into their obvious path to exile there. Mana leaks it, which is fine. Get an Eidolon going. Play that. Swing in. Hold up Skullcrack here. Opponent pass us, which is fine. Continue holding up Skullcrack because I don't want to get like timely reinforcements. They have Monastery Mentor, which is kind of a weird one. Go attack here. They don't block, so we just like double Skullcrack and kill them. So, but the most unique match was actually this one. So for those of you that are avid Burn fans, you know one of Burn's bad matchups is Ad Nauseam. And we almost got bit with our keep in game 1. So our game 1 hand admittedly is pretty good, but it has one important problem. So this hand, obviously, Bolt, Bolt, Rift Bolt, Swift Spear. I'm keeping this like most of the time against most opponents. Let's play Swift Spear, get rolling. City of Brass. Only 1 or 2 decks really play City of Brass. Sleight of Hand, that's definitely, especially with a suspended Lotus Bloom, that's definitely Ad Nauseam. Draw another Swift Spear. If we ever find a land at any point, would be great here, but our clock's just too slow against what our opponent had going on. Put our opponent to 2 here, but 2 is not 0. And then opponent does the thing and kills us. So, game number 2 and 3, kind of some interesting games in terms of the fail rate of combo decks in Modern. So, obviously, pretty good hand as long as they don't have, Leyline of Sanctity. Board out our Searing Blazes, boarded in the Wear Terrors, and the Grim Lavamancers, also boarded out a Rift Bolt just because of speed purposes. Going to play Goblin Guide, didn't have Sanctity fortunately. Shows the Simian Spirit Guide on 1. Shows the Temple of Enlightenment, just continue pressuring them. There's the Leyline, Boros Charm them. Trying to empty their hand as quickly as possible. Draw a Swift Spear. Go and Helix them, start pressuring them. Opponent plays a Leyline. So this, they're at 5, right? So in order to maximize damage this turn in terms of like poison counters, you want to get to the point where you can put them to 0 and then deal them damage. So we could just like Boros Charm, Skullcrack, you know, deal them, I guess any which way we cut it, we're almost dealing them 5 poison. As long as we like played our spells this turn, like we could have, as long as we played one of the spells before combat, we could either put them to 4 or 5. So the method I chose was Skullcrack, put them to that, use Boros Charm to double strike here, Puts them to -1, puts them to 5 poison. They didn't play the ley line, which I found a little bit bizarre. Especially since Leyline would have saved them from dying this turn, and they could have ad nauseum the following turn potentially. They're trying to represent darkness here, I guess, is the card they're trying to like get us to play around, and unfortunately we really don't have any way to play around it anyway. So game 3, sideboarded the same way. Remember correctly, our opponent ends up like mulliganing here. Nope. Yep, they mulligan to 6, 5. They keep on 5. We have a pretty good hand as long as we draw a land. Yep, we drew a land immediately. Start goblin guiding them. We start providing them with lands, but do this because I'm setting up to play Eidolon here, and I completely goof and miss. Kind of frustrated with myself at that point, and they play Phyrexian Unlife. Go ahead and skull crack them. Start pressuring them. We should already have an Eidolon in place. They should be like pretty close to dead here. Okay, they play a Laboratory Maniac, which indicates to me that they're either trying to block or set up finding Spoils of the Vault to combo with this. They have a Lotus Bloom on suspend now, which really doesn't do anything. This game's going to be over long before then. Opponent starts dealing damage to themselves. Opponent does not block. And they play Spoils of the Vault, which indicates they could have won the game if they would have played it during their upkeep. And then they just die here. So, opponent did not time the Spoils of the Vault correctly. I don't know if they literally just drew it or what was going on here. Yeah, in fact, I think they showed Spoils of the Vault off of this guy, so they honestly should have should have just played that and won the game, I believe, but they screwed up, and we got a little bit lucky despite our punt. Match number 4 was against Hardened Scales, and if you've heard my opinion of Hardened Scales, not exactly the easiest matchup. In fact, looking at records here, we're 1-1 against Hardened Scales, but I've also played a couple other games against Hardened Scales, and it hasn't felt like a great matchup. This hand's fine, not fantastic, but definitely a hand's keepable. Remains on Inkbond Nexus. Play out Hangerback Walker. Just try to set up to burn them out here, since they don't have the fastest start in the world. Gotta kill that stupid thing during our next turn. So we go ahead and bolt this, get them to pop the jar, hit it with a blaze. Let's put them to 13. Starts pumping up the jam here. Throne of Geth is kind of a scary card. Opponent starts beating in here. Goblin Guide. This Goblin Guide is a blocker here. Opponent proliferates. We cast another Lightning Helix. Put them to 4. Opponent drives Hardened Scales at exactly the wrong time for us, and then they're able to kill us through a combo here. Opponent sets up lethal, we Helix, they sack the Hangerback Walker, and then just pump up their dude to the point where they can just kill us in one shot. So, Hardened Scales, very timely draw for our opponent. Game 2, sorry. Trying to get through this replay pretty quickly, because there's not a whole lot to this particular matchup. Sideboarding, we basically board in everything except Firecraft and Rest in Peace, and I'm beginning to think maybe I should be boarding in Rest in Peace. I'm not really sure. I'd have to ask the Burn community on Facebook, or maybe somebody here in chat, or somebody on the channel, sorry. It's a card that I've considered boarding in now that I've thought about the matchup, but I don't know if it's worth the slots. Board out all your non-creature spells, board out Eidolons, because they often have a lot of They often have a lot of spells that get paid for X, so they can go like, Hangerback Walker, Walking Ballista for X equals 2, and it's just kind of a mess, so. Stands pretty good. Lead off on turn 1 Goblin Guide. Start getting in there. Get whatchamacallit out. We just start going to town here. Suspend Rift Bolt. They get another Hangerback Walker. They get a Ravager. Go ahead and attack here. Go ahead and path that. Go ahead and blaze their dude. Feeling pretty good, right? We got them down to 8, got 2 Goblin guys in play. Play a Ravager here, go ahead and no attacks. They have Nature's Claim, so they gain some life. Put them only to 10. See a Walking Ballista here. So you're figuring at 6 we should be in pretty decent shape, right? Not sure what they tap for there. I screwed up by not attacking with the other Goblin Guide, but not sure what's going on there. And I missed a combat step, and that cost us the game. No, something went goofy with the replay there. I'm not really sure what's going on. There must have been a creature in play or something. Maybe the Walking Ballista was in play. I'm not really sure what was going on. But we definitely lost that game. Not really sure what was going on with the replay there. 5th and final match. Trying to go 4-1 in this particular league. Get us up to 44 treasure chests would be nice. Sand, obviously pretty good. As long as the Searing Blazes are live. I don't remember what matchup this was, to be honest. Oh yeah, now I do. Dredge. Dredge deck with no dredgers. Start trying to tempo our opponent here. Get back our thing. We attack. Go and wait until their turn to blaze their dude in case they exhaust all their lands. They kill our Goblin Guide. Swing in. Go ahead and Searing Blaze. Another land, get back into the Blood Gas, get back into Amalgam. We suspend the Rift Bolt. They go to attacks again. Go ahead and Searing Blaze their Amalgam again. They flash back, get another that. Go ahead and hit them with a Bolt, shock us in, Boros Charm, and Bolt. So, opponent didn't have any aggressive dredges. They did have, 5 power on turn 2. Kept recycling this. We kept getting the Amalgam off the board, so it wasn't really present. And then, game number 2. Sideboarding against them. It was board out the Eidolons, board in 2 Rest in Peace, and 2 Searing Blood. Kind of take advantage of the 2-for-1s as much as possible. Obviously, Rest in Peace is kind of a KO card against them. Opponent mulligans down to 4. Obviously, they don't have the best hand, mulliganing to 4, but Dredge can still win at this point, so go ahead and start hitting our opponent. Shows an Amalgam on top. Cathartic Reunion, get rid of Stinky. Alright, anyways, opponent Cathartics, dredges their Stinky, gets things going. Our next draw step is a Rest in Peace, and that effectively ended the game. So, don't know, not sure what's up with the glitches on the replays, but we finished 4-1. Beat Dredge, beat Ad Nauseam, which are kind of rough matchups of late. Hardened Scales, close matchup. The weird blue-white deck, too much air, not enough pressure for them. And then Pyromancer can be a close matchup, but their particular draws weren't particularly good. So 4-1 in that league. So we're now up to 44 treasure chests, and that's where we stand right now. So this has been Dust for Dusted on Gaming with a quick review of another Burn League.